Guilty. 35 years. 2 hours and 20 minutes of deliberation. That's all it took. And the moment that verdict was read, the parking lot outside the Collin County Courthouse in McKinney, Texas turned into something I need you to see with your own eyes. We have the footage, and we are getting into all of it today. Before we get into the reaction footage, if you are brand new here and you don't know the full story of what happened between Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, I already did a deep dive, the full breakdown, the tent, the knife, the witnesses, the body cam, every single detail. I'm going to drop a card right here. Go watch that first, then come back. Because what we're talking about today is what happened after the verdict. And if you don't know the background, this won't hit the same way. For everybody who already watched, let's get into it. So, here's what went down on Tuesday, June 9th, 2026, inside Collin County Court. After roughly 2 weeks of testimony, after witness took that stand, the jury went into deliberations Tuesday morning. 2 hours, 20 minutes, that's it, in a first-degree murder case, with a self-defense claim on the table. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Now, I want you to sit with that for a second, because that is not a jury that was conflicted. That is a jury that walked into that room, looked at each other, and said, "We already know." The verdict came back, guilty of murder, and then it got heavier. The punishment phase started almost immediately. Karmelo Anthony's mother took the stand. She was the only witness called by the defense during sentencing. She asked the jury for mercy for her son. And Karmelo, sitting at that defense table, broke down crying as she spoke. I want to be honest with y'all for a second. Watching a mother beg for her child's life, regardless of what that child did, that is hard to watch. That is a mother. And that pain is real. But the jury also heard from Austin Metcalf's family. His aunt stood up for victim impact and spoke directly to Anthony. And when it was all said and done, the jury came back with 35 years. He faces a minimum of 17 and a half years before he is eligible for parole. He is 19 years old right now, and Austin Metcalf's twin brother Hunter, who held his brother as he died, has to live with that hole in his chest for the rest of his life, with no parole date, with no release, with nothing. Now let's talk about what happened outside. Okay, so while all of that is happening inside that courtroom, outside, in that parking lot, it was a completely different world. Dozens and dozens of people had gathered. It was 90-degree heat. People on both sides, Karmelo supporters, Austin Metcalf supporters, all packed into the same space waiting. Heavy police presence. Deputies had already formed a protective line around the courthouse before the verdict even dropped. And then the word started spreading through the crowd. An independent journalist who was out there described the moment it hit. Someone came running through the parking lot yelling, "Guilty of murder, guilty of murder." And what happened next, I need you to watch.
I don't have an opinion. I don't have an opinion here.
Just like Karmelo was doing. I'm glad you just said that. That's what Karmelo was doing. Protecting his motherfucking self.
Use the restroom. And they keep claiming it's not about race. Lies. Do not piss on me and tell me it's water. America was bred.
Because now you're done.
With racism.
I walked in peacefully.
It was bred
peacefully.
off of enslavement.
Said hello.
Since the
How are
establishment.
You? Are you okay? Are you fed? But see, I came back to blue.
Fuck them.
But I came in my blue yesterday. And I stood. And I stood. And I stood. And then I'm back in Austin. All the way. How many rituals y'all doing y'all white babies? I'm tired.
To be honest, why are we here? What are we here for? Because if we take up for ourselves, we go to jail. If we don't, we die. So it's a catch-22 in this situation. What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do at this point? What? I'm lost for it. I don't know what to do.
Tonight, emotions boiling over outside the courthouse. Protesters in each other's faces, some openly weeping. and for others, relief that justice was served.
You think this is justice for Austin?
I believe so.
What was it like?
When the verdict was read.
I feel like it was designed to protect white people, the system, and it was not designed to protect black people. It's self-defense.
That's what they saying. I don't know how true it is. It just broke. God damn. God damn. That's it. That's it. They saying murder. They saying murder. They saying murder. They said no manslaughter. They saying murder. I thought it was manslaughter too. They saying guilty of murder on Fox right now. They saying guilty of murder. They saying guilty of murder.
I swear to God, I'm sick of this shit. I'm tired of this. I'm tired. I don't give a fuck. I'm tired. That is sick. That is fucking sick. That is sick. That is sick. You went through the same shit.
Okay, so I want to talk about what we just saw because I think this is where the conversation gets real. Some of Karmelo Anthony's supporters out there were furious, and not in a quiet way. Reports say one supporter shouted at officers, "Y'all gonna burn in hell." The Black Panthers showed up. Someone was heard saying, "This is war." And look, I understand that emotion. I'm not going to pretend I don't. When you believe that a young black man did not get a fair trial, when you believe that the jury was stacked, that the system was rigged, that race played a role in that verdict, that anger comes from somewhere real. But here is my question for the comment section, and I want both sides to answer this honestly. Does expressing that anger in a parking lot, screaming at police, threatening people, declaring war, does that help Karmelo Anthony? Or does it make it harder for anyone to look at this case and take the injustice argument seriously? Because here is the thing. If you believe this verdict was wrong, the appeal is where that fight happens, not the parking lot. Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear from both sides on this one. Now, at some point during all of this, police started trying to clear the area, and we have footage of that too. Watch this.
Per the judge's orders, the parking lot will be closed at 9 p.m. Parking lot will close at 9 p.m. Parking lot will close at 9 p.m. Parking lot will close at 9 p.m.
So they gave people notice. 9 p.m., the parking lot is closing. Everyone needs to clear out. Now, watch what happened when 9 o'clock actually came.
The parking lot is closed.
Parking lot is closed. Vacate the parking lot.
The parking lot is closed. Please vacate the parking lot. Parking lot is closed.
No, it was just a freaking live stream thing. We were like doing a live stream. No.
It's closed. Please vacate the parking lot. The parking lot is closed. Please vacate the parking lot. The parking lot is closed. Please vacate the parking lot.
And that right there, that reaction to being told to leave, some of y'all are going to say that's unnecessary. Some of y'all are going to say those people had every right, to be there, and to be angry. So let me ask you this, and this is a genuine question. Where is the line between righteous anger and behavior that undermines your own cause? Because the people who support Austin Metcalf's family, they're watching this footage. The people who were on the fence about whether this trial was fair, they're watching this footage too. And I want to know, does what you just saw make you more sympathetic to Karmelo supporters or less? Comment section is open. Be respectful, but be honest. Now, I cannot do this video and not address the race piece because it is the center of everything. Karmelo Anthony is black. Austin Metcalf was white. And from the very beginning, before the trial even started, this case was being pulled in two completely different directions depending on where you were standing. Karmelo's supporters argued, and this is a legitimate argument, that the jury was racially compromised. 3 black potential jurors were struck. 0 black people ended up on that jury in a case involving a black defendant in Texas. Into 2026, civil rights leader Dominique Alexander came out after the verdict and criticized the jury composition directly. And that concern about whether a black man can get a fair trial from an all-white jury in America, that is not a new concern. That concern has evidence behind it. That concern has history behind it. At the same time, the prosecutor stood in that courtroom and said something that I think is worth sitting with. He said, "You don't get to meet a shove with a stab, especially if you provoked the shove." And the witnesses, most of whom were also teenagers, and some of whom were also black, testified consistently that Karmelo was the aggressor, that he refused to leave, that he had his hand in that bag, that he said, "Touch me and find out." So here is my question, and this one is going to spark some conversation. Can both things be true at the same time? Can Karmelo Anthony have been the aggressor in that tent and have been denied a fair trial because of the jury composition? Because I think that is actually the most honest place to sit with this case. And I think a lot of people on both sides don't want to go there because it's complicated, and the internet doesn't reward complicated. What do you think? Leave it in the comments. In the middle of all of that chaos in the parking lot, I want to bring you back inside to the people who matter most in this story. Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff Metcalf, said early in this case, before the trial even started, "I already forgive this person. God takes care of things. I pray that none of this happens to another family." That man lost his son at a high school track meet. He sat in that courtroom and watched graphic photos of his child's wounds. He put his head in his lap when the paramedic described how Austin looked when they arrived, and his response, even in that, was forgiveness. Austin's aunt stood up during victim impact and spoke directly to Karmelo Anthony. And then there's Hunter, Austin's twin. His identical twin brother who has spent 14 months trying to figure out how to exist as one person when he's been one half of two his entire life. He graduated this spring. He accepted Austin's posthumous diploma. He stood on that stage where Austin was supposed to be standing next to him. Whatever you believe about this trial, whatever you think about the verdict, the jury, the race dynamics, I need you to hold space for that, because that is a real person living with a real loss that no verdict changes. So where does this go from here? Karmelo Anthony is currently in the Collin County Sheriff's custody. He will be transferred to the Texas Department of Corrections. He is 19 years old. He will be eligible for parole in approximately 17 and a half years when he is 36 or 37 years old. Now, the defense is almost certainly going to appeal, and their most powerful argument on appeal is going to be the jury composition. The removal of every black potential juror from this case is something that higher courts are going to have to examine. Whether that appeal succeeds, that is a different conversation, but it is coming. So the question I want to leave you with today is this: 35 years. Is that justice for Austin Metcalf, or is it too much for Karmelo Anthony? Or, and here's the real question, is there any sentence that actually fixes what happened under that tent on April 2nd, 2025? I don't think there is, and I think most people on both sides know that. One woman who was outside that courthouse supporting Austin's family said it better than I could. She said, There's no winners here. It was justice that he was found guilty. Am I happy about that? No. That is the honest answer. There are no winners in this story. There is a dead 17-year-old. There is a 19-year-old going to prison for 35 years. There are 2 families destroyed. And there is a community that has been torn apart in ways that will take years to heal. Austin Metcalf deserved better than what happened to him on that field. And every single one of us deserves a world where a disagreement at a track, meat doesn't end in a body bag. That's where I'm leaving this today. All right, I want to hear from you. Scroll down to the comments right now and tell me, 1, do you think 35 years was the right sentence? 2, do you believe the jury composition affected the outcome? 3, and for the Karmelo supporters watching, what is your plan from here? Appeal? Advocacy? Or something else? Because I'm reading every single comment on this video. And I know this community can have a real conversation, even when the topic is hard. If you are new here, hit subscribe, hit the bell, because we cover cases like this every single week. The cases that matter to this community, told without agenda, told without taking shortcuts. And if you haven't watched the full breakdown of everything that happened from the beginning, from the tent to the knife to the body cam to the trial, that video is right here. I'll see y'all in the comments.